Okay, have you ever felt like native English speakers are just talking way too fast?
Yeah.
It's like they're speaking some kind of secret code or just mumbling.
Right.
You shared a masterclass with me about speaking and understanding faster English, so we are diving into that today.
Yeah, and I think it'll be great to not just figure out how to understand rapid-fire English, but also how to speak it more naturally and fluently ourselves.
For sure, for sure. I saw in the source material, they talk about this shadowing technique. I'm really curious to learn more about that. But first, why does English sound so fast to non-native speakers in the first place?
I think it's a few different things all coming together at once. One big thing is connected speech.
Okay.
Which is basically how words kind of blend together.
Yeah.
Instead of what do you want? It sounds more like wadaya wanna.
Yeah. So it's not that the words themselves are faster. It's just they all kind of...
They mush together.
Yeah, they get mashed together, yeah. And then there's all those contractions too, right?
Absolutely. Contractions and reductions are everywhere in natural English. And I think they definitely add to the speed. Things like, going to do, becoming gonna, or want to, shrinking to wanna.
Yeah.
It's like we like to be lazy with our words, but it makes it hard for people to understand.
Yeah. No, what is this schwa thing I keep hearing about?
Yeah, so the schwa...
What is that?
The schwa is a tricky one. It's like this chameleon vowel that changes based on the sounds that are around it.
Oh, okay.
It's this really unstressed, kind of mumbly sound you hear in words the classic example is banana. It's not banana, it's more like bunana.
Yeah.
It just becomes this lazy sound.
So the schwa, it can pop up in any word then.
Yeah.
Not just, banana is the one everyone uses.
It can even happen a bunch of times in the same word. Think of the word photography.
Yeah.
It's not photography, it's more like photography.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
The schwa can really change how a word sounds.
It really is like a secret code. I think an audio example would be really good here.
Yeah.
The masterclass actually gives an example of, I should have told you earlier, both at kind of a slower speed and a native speed.
Okay.
So let's listen to that.
Sounds good.
Audio plays, I should have told you earlier, followed by, I should have told you earlier. Yeah. It's crazy.
It does.
It's almost like two different languages. I can totally see why this is a challenge.
Yeah. But what's cool is that you don't necessarily need to hear every single sound to get what's being said. Our brains are actually really good at filling in the missing information.
That's good to know because, yes, some of that is impossible to understand. Okay, so how do we train our ears to be better at decoders of all this?
Well, one really good way is to practice something called chunking.
Okay.
And basically, instead of getting stuck on each individual word, you try to hear phrases as units.
Oh.
It's kind of like how we read, right? We're not focusing on each letter. We group the letters into words.
Yeah.
And then phrases.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah, sure. Imagine someone's like, do you want to grab some lunch later?
Yeah.
If you try to pick out every single sound.
Yeah.
It's just a jumble, right?
Yeah.
But if you kind of chunk it together in your mind, you want to grab some lunch later.
Right.
It becomes way more clear.
Oh, yeah.
So you kind of get the big idea.
Yeah, you're listening for the key idea and not every little word.
Exactly.
Cool. That kind of leads into the next thing, right? About listening in layers.
It does, yeah.
This sounds very Zen-like.
It is. It's like, think about listening to a song for the first time. You're not going to catch all the words, all the lyrics, all the nuances right away, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with English.
So we're listening to the same thing multiple times.
Yeah.
Okay, and what are the layers?
Well, so on the first pass, you're just listening for the gist. Who's talking? What are they talking about?
Right.
And then on the second listen, you try to pick out keywords that'll give you more context.
Okay.
And then on the third listen, that's when you can really zero in on the tricky bits, the connected speech, maybe those contractions you couldn't quite pick out the first time.
Okay, it's kind of like peeling back an onion, right?
Exactly.
You get a little more information every time.
You got it.
Cool. We actually have a dialogue example in the masterclass that we can use to try this.
Perfect.
Audio plays. Hey, do you want to grab some coffee? Yeah, but let me finish this first. Cool, I'll meet you in 10.
Okay.
So how would we use this layered listening for this little coffee shop conversation?
Okay, so on that first listen, you're getting, two people are going to get coffee.
Yeah.
Easy. Then on that second layer, you might pick out keywords like coffee, maybe finish this, and then 10 minutes.
Okay.
So now you're getting a better picture of what's going on.
Right.
And then finally, on the third listen, you can really zoom in. Like, okay, do you want it?
Yeah.
How are they using those contractions and reductions?
Okay, yeah, that makes it much less intimidating.
Yeah.
Breaking it down like that. Now, what about speaking faster? How do we do that without sounding like, some kind of robot?
Like a robot reading a dictionary.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Well, this masterclass talks a lot about sounding natural and fluent, not just talking faster.
Right.
Like you said, we don't want to sacrifice clarity just to sound fast.
Yeah, so are there specific techniques for this?
Well, remember all those contractions and reductions we talked about?
Yeah.
Those are really important for speaking fluently, too.
So instead of saying, like, I'm going to the store, I should say, I'm going to go to the store.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Oh.
And it might feel a little weird at first,
It does.
but I promise it just makes your English sound smoother and more effortless.
Okay. But how do we actually get used to doing that?
Right. Well, that's where that shadowing technique comes in.
Okay.
So you are going to be like a vocal chameleon. You listen to a native speaker.
Yeah. Say a phrase or a sentence. You pause it, and then you try to repeat exactly what they said,
Okay.
matching their pronunciation, intonation, and speed.
So like, what are you doing? I should say more like, what you doing?
Perfect, yeah.
Okay.
And you can start slow, and then as you get more comfortable, you can speed it up.
That's cool. Are there any other techniques we can use?
Yeah, another one is linking.
Okay.
So like native speakers, we just do it naturally, but it's something that you might have to practice consciously if you're learning.
Okay.
So like, for instance, not at all often becomes not at all.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So the tan sound from not blends with that vowel sound of at.
Oh, that's so subtle. Wow.
It is.
I want to try a little fast reading challenge, can I?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so the source material has the sentence, would you like to go to the movies later?
Yeah.
How would a native speaker actually say that?
Probably something like, would ya? Like, go to the movies later.
Wow, that's a mouthful. Okay, so I'm noticing would you becomes would ya, to is like ta, and the like disappears before movies.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's all about those smooth transitions.
Yeah. Okay. I can already tell I need to practice that one. We've been practicing here in this nice, perfect little world, right?
Right.
How do we take this into the real world where there's all kinds of accents and people talking at all different speeds?
That is the real challenge, right? Because the real world is full of all these variations, different accents, slang, speaking styles.
Yeah.
It's really like taking what you learned in the classroom and then...
throwing yourself into the deep end.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember that feeling.
Yeah.
It was, like, scary. So what advice does the masterclass have for us for bridging that gap?
Well, I mean, really, it's about exposure and practice.
Okay.
The more you immerse yourself in the language, the more prepared you'll be to handle those real-world variations.
What are some good ways to get that real-world practice?
Well, they talk about watching TV shows and movies.
Oh.
You can start with the subtitles on to get the gist, and then challenge yourself.
Right.
Turn the subtitles off. See how much you could understand.
Yeah, I find even watching with English subtitles, like, helps me pick up stuff I might not have noticed otherwise.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's podcasts,
Okay.
which are great because you can adjust the speed.
Right.
You can start slow, work your way up.
What about actually talking with native speakers?
Well, that's the best practice you can get, right?
Right.
Find language exchange partners, maybe join some groups online, or even, if you're brave enough, strike up conversations with people you meet.
I remember I was so scared to talk to native speakers when I was learning English.
Yeah.
But I realized, like, pretty quickly, most people are really patient and they appreciate the effort you're making.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it really is about just building that confidence and not being afraid to, like, mess up.
For sure. Don't be afraid to ask people to slow down or repeat themselves.
Yeah.
People are happy to help.
Yeah. So we really need to embrace that messiness, right? It's going to be messy. It's not going to be perfect.
Absolutely.
Now, the masterclass has one final challenge for us before we wrap up this first part of our deep dive.
Okay.
They want us to imagine we're hanging out with friends, and they ask, hey, deal up for a movie tonight.
Fun.
Okay, I'm ready for this challenge. Let's hear it.
Okay.
Audio plays. Hey, you're up for a movie tonight. Dunno. What's playing? That new sci-fi one looks cool. All right, let me check the show times.
Oh, casual, fast English.
So what techniques are we hearing in this?
Okay, well, right away we hear that contraction, ya,
Right.
instead of you, and then what's playing. It combines like what is and playing into one little chunk.
I noticed they're saying do know instead of don't know, and then
Yeah.
let me instead of let me.
It's amazing how those little things make such a big difference.
Yeah, it's like a little puzzle.
It is.
All these pieces, you can even hear that linking, like looks cool becomes looks cool. That's so cool. Okay, so now the challenge is to imagine how we would respond.
Yes.
Using everything we've talked about.
Exactly. And there's no one right answer.
Right.
It's about using what you've learned and seeing how you can apply it to this conversation.
So we're leaving you with that challenge for now, dear listener. How would you respond to this invitation to go to the movies? We'll explore this more in the next part of our deep dive.
You know, it's crazy to think about how all these like tiny little things, the contractions, the schwa sound linking, it all adds up to make English sound so fast.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like, it's not really about speed, is it?
No, not really. It's more about understanding each other.
Right, being able to communicate.
Exactly.
I think that's easy to forget when you get so caught up in like the rules and the technical stuff.
It's easy to get bogged down in that.
Yeah.
And forget why we're even learning the language.
Totally. I like that this masterclass really focuses on that, like the human element of language. It does. It gives some good advice about how to turn all this stuff we're talking about into like real fluency.
That's what I'm curious about, because I feel like I've hit walls so many times where I'm just like, I'm not getting any better. Like, what's the secret to getting over those plateaus?
Well, it's not really a secret. I think a lot of people they don't do it.
Yeah.
But it's practice.
Yeah.
It's consistent practice.
Okay, so not just like cramming.
Right, not just cramming a bunch of words and grammar rules.
Right, yeah.
But really making it a habit.
Okay, yeah. So what would a good practice routine look like? Say I'm like just starting out.
Well, I mean, even if you could just do like 15, 20 minutes a day of focused listening.
Okay.
That's huge. It could be podcasts, TV shows, whatever you enjoy.
Right.
You could even just listen to conversations happening around you.
Right. That's such a good, like, easy tip, you know?
It is. It is.
You don't need anything special for that.
Just like go to a coffee shop, listen to people talking.
Yeah. Exactly. What about for speaking practice?
Speaking practice is a little tougher.
Yeah.
Because you have to actually,
find someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Right?
But there's a lot of groups online.
Uh-huh.
Language exchange apps and things like that.
Yeah.
You could even record yourself speaking and then listen back.
I used to do that.
Yeah.
It's so helpful.
Right. You catch all these little mistakes.
It is a little cringy, though.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
But it's like having your own little language coach.
It is. And you said it earlier, too. It's okay to make mistakes.
Absolutely. That's how we learn.
That's how we learn,
Yeah. Now let's talk about the shadowing technique. We kind of touched on it earlier. Can you explain a little bit more about how that works and why it's so good?
It's basically karaoke for language learning.
Okay.
You listen to a native speaker.
Yeah.
Try to repeat exactly what they're saying.
Okay.
Matching their rhythm, intonation, everything.
So it's like a workout for your mouth?
It is. It is. Getting it to do all those weird sounds.
Exactly. And you could do it with anything.
Oh, okay.
Like a podcast, a song,
Oh, cool.
a scene from a movie.
That sounds fun. What are some tips for making practice in general more interesting?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times people think of it as a chore, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's important to find stuff that you're actually interested in.
Right.
Like if you love to cook, watch cooking shows in English. If you're a sports fan, listen to sports commentary.
It's so true. Like when it's something I like, it feels like I'm like not even trying.
Right, because you're actually paying attention.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, just find ways to connect your interests with language learning.
Right. It shouldn't be boring.
No, it should be fun.
Yeah. Even when we are enjoying it, I feel like we all hit those like plateaus.
Yeah.
How do we deal with that?
Well, I think it's important to remember that progress isn't always like a straight line, You're going to have times when you feel like you're rocketing forward and times where you feel like you're just stuck.
Yeah, like going backwards almost.
Right. And that's totally normal.
Yeah.
But you can't give up.
Right.
Just keep practicing and trust the process.
It's like when you're working out, right?
It is. It is.
You hit those plateaus. It's like, I'm doing all this and nothing's happening.
Right. But just like with fitness, consistency is key.
Okay.
Just keep at it.
And celebrate those like little wins, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to get focused on this big like end goal.
Yeah.
And forget how far you've come.
Right. It's like looking at old pictures of yourself like, oh my God.
Exactly. You make so much progress.
Yeah. And that actually brings us to like confidence. Right.
It does.
Because when you can understand and be understood, you feel more confident. You feel more like able to...
You're not just a passive observer, you're an active participant.
Yeah. A whole new world opens up, basically.
It does. It does.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of technical stuff.
We have.
And resources, and even like the emotional and social benefits of being fluent. I know this masterclass has one last challenge for us before we wrap up this section of our deep dive.
Okay, I'm ready.
So, remember that movie night situation we talked about?
Yeah.
Our friends invited us to go to a movie.
Yeah, they asked you up for a movie tonight.
And we heard all the back and forth about, what's playing and everything.
What time? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now the challenge is, what would you say? There's no script this time.
No, I like it.
Just, like, what would you say?
It's like they're saying, okay, here are all the tools, now you go.
Exactly, yeah.
Make something beautiful.
Yeah.
It's your turn.
Yeah, and I think that's what this whole deep dive is about, right?
It is, yeah.
It's not about memorizing.
Yeah.
It's about being able to actually use the language.
It's about empowering you to use the language.
Yeah, yeah. So, dear listener, that's the challenge for you. Put yourself back in that situation.
Yep.
What would you say? How would you use these techniques we've talked about?
Yeah, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Just, like, what's your gut reaction?
Yeah.
Have fun with it.
I love that. Okay, I'm going to try.
Okay.
So if my friends asked if I was up for a movie, I might say, yeah, totally. What are we thinking of watching?
Perfect.
I'm using a contraction.
You are.
I'm keeping it casual.
You are.
And I'm expressing enthusiasm.
Yes, you are.
I love it. And I'm already feeling more confident just thinking about,
I love that.
using all this stuff.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, right? Is finding your own voice.
Yeah.
And just being comfortable.
Awesome. So, dear listener, we want you to find your voice.
Yes.
Experiment, try new things, push yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit.
And remember, fluency is not like an end point.
Right.
It's an ongoing journey.
It is, yeah.
Full of ups and downs, and it's all about connection,
It is, yeah.
Connecting with other people.
Okay, I think this is a good place to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and wrap up our deep dive into speaking and understanding fast English. I'm still thinking about that movie night challenge.
Yeah.
I like how it makes us actually, use what we learned.
It is. It's a good way to, bridge the gap between the ideas and actually putting it into practice.
Totally. It reminds us this isn't just about, memorizing rules. It's about, using language to actually talk with people.
Right. Language is about connection.
Yeah. This deep dive has been awesome.
Yeah.
Can we do a quick recap of what we talked about?
Yeah, for sure.
Just to make sure I've got all the key takeaways.
Okay, well, I think the first thing to remember is that speed is just one part of being fluent.
Okay.
You don't want to just talk fast.
Yeah.
You got to be clear.
Yeah.
And you got to sound natural.
Right. So it's a balance.
Exactly.
Okay. And one way to do that is using all those contractions and reductions.
Yeah, definitely. Those are super important.
Yeah.
They really make your English flow.
Now, what about chunking?
Oh, yeah, chunking's huge.
Yeah.
Training yourself to hear those chunks of words instead of every single word.
It's like we're upgrading our brains.
It is. It's like a software update.
Yeah.
For your ears.
That's a good way to put it. And then we have that layered listening approach. First the gist, then the keywords, then all the subtle details.
Right, like connected speech and all that.
Okay, and then for speaking, we've got that shadowing technique.
Ah, yes, shadowing.
That was really cool. Having a pronunciation coach in your ear.
Exactly. And you can do it with anything.
Right. Any material that interests you.
Yeah.
So we've got all the tools. Now what's the secret to putting this all together? What's the magic formula?
Well, again, it's not really a secret. It's consistent practice.
Oh.
Finding things that you enjoy.
Right. It should be fun.
It should be fun, yeah. It shouldn't feel like a chore.
Totally. Because when it's fun, you actually want to do it.
Exactly. And you'll learn faster that way, too.
Yeah. So, find things that you're into, like movies, podcasts.
Yeah. Or connect with other people who are learning.
Yeah.
You can all practice together.
Now, we all know fluency isn't you don't just arrive there one day.
No, it's a journey.
Yeah.
With lots of twists and turns.
Yeah. And we're going to mess up along the way.
Oh, for sure.
You just got to, keep going.
Absolutely. Celebrate the wins and learn from the mistakes.
I think that's a great way to wrap up our deep dive.
Yeah.
So, dear listener, hopefully this has given you some new ideas for how to take your English to the next level.
Yeah. Keep practicing and keep exploring.
And keep connecting with people.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, language is about connecting.
So true. That's it for our deep dive into speaking and understanding fast English.
Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you next time. All right, welcome back to the deep dive. So, you're prepping for a trip, getting ready to travel.
It's exciting.
Super exciting, right? You want to make sure you're ready, your English is all set to make the most of that experience.
Yeah.
So we are going on a deep dive into some essential travel vocabulary.
That's fun.
We've got a great resource here. It's nicely organized, breaks it down first by location, airport, hotel, restaurant, you name it. And then within each location, you've got beginner, intermediate, advanced.
I like that.
Yeah, it gives you options, right?
Yeah.
Plus, it even has some sample dialogue, so you can actually hear these phrases in action, hear how they're used.
That's a really practical approach.
Yeah.
Because honestly, learning a language for travel, it's not about, reciting grammar rules perfectly.
Yeah.
It's about confidently handling those real-world situations.
Exactly.
Right.
So let's picture ourselves. We're at the airport.
Okay.
Maybe a little overwhelming, even for seasoned travelers.
Oh, it's true. Busy place. Lots going on.
Yeah. So many people, different languages.
But even having a few basic phrases down can just make such a difference in how smoothly things go.
For sure.
Especially check-in, baggage claim.
Yeah.
Keeping it simple and direct avoids confusion.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you know what I love about these intermediate phrases? They cover those little things that just make a flight more comfortable.
It's that.
Like how to request an aisle seat.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one to have.
Yeah.
For sure. Nobody wants the middle seat on a long flight.
No, you don't. And speaking of potential stress points, knowing how to ask about excess baggage fees.
Oh, yeah.
That could save you some trouble, save you some money at the counter.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now, these advanced phrases, they really show you're a seasoned traveler, like confirming baggage allowances beforehand or, navigating that priority boarding process.
You've thought ahead. You're prepared.
Shows you're prepared, yeah. What stands out to you about the sample dialogues for this section?
Well, I think the one where you're asking about baggage allowance policy is good.
Yeah. Okay. Let's try it out.
Okay.
Imagine you're at the check-in counter. Excuse me. Could you please confirm the baggage allowance policy for international flights?
Certainly. You're allowed 2 checked bags weighing up to 23 kilograms each.
Perfect. See? You're speaking the language of the airport. All right. So we've made it through check-in security. Let's fast forward. We've arrived at the hotel.
Okay.
This is another place where just clear communication can really elevate the experience.
For sure. At that beginner level, it's all about the essentials, right?
Yeah.
Checking in, getting your key, figuring out when checkout is.
Yeah. And it's so important to have your reservation details handy, too, in case there's a mix-up.
Good point.
Now, we level up to the intermediate phrases. I'm seeing some really handy ones here.
Like what?
Like asking if breakfast is included.
Oh, always a good one.
Key question. And, just don't be afraid to advocate for your needs, whether it's asking for extra towels, inquiring about amenities. Remember, being polite but assertive can make your stay more comfortable.
Absolutely.
Okay, now these advanced phrases.
All right.
Really impressive.
What do we got?
Requesting late checkout, inquiring about concierge services.
You're traveling in style.
You are. What I like about these phrases is that they show you're interested in more than just the basics,
Yeah.
Like asking for local attraction recommendations, it shows that you want to really experience the destination.
Like a local.
Yeah, like a local. All right, let's put some of these advanced phrases into action.
Okay.
Imagine you've just arrived at your hotel. You want to make the most of your stay.
Okay.
You walk up to the desk, you say, "Good evening, I have a reservation under your name, and if you have a moment, I'd love to get some recommendations for local attractions, especially anything within walking distance."
Of course. Here's your key. We also have this great map highlighting nearby points of interest. There's a fantastic local market just a few blocks away. I highly recommend checking it out.
Look at you, settling right in. You've mastered the airport, the hotel, but now I think it's time we talk about one of the best parts of any trip.
What's that?
Food.
Food, absolutely.
It's such an incredible window into a culture.
It is.
And even if your vocabulary is limited, having a few basic phrases can make your dining experiences so much more enjoyable.
For sure.
Ordering from a menu, asking about the price, just navigating those initial interactions can feel so much smoother.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how much a simple please and thank you can go, even if that's all the local language you know.
It does. It shows respect.
It does. It shows respect, a willingness to engage.
Yeah.
Now, these intermediate phrases, they're starting to get into some fun territory.
What are we talking about?
Like asking about the specialty of the house.
Oh, good one.
Right.
Yeah.
What a great way to try something new, something exciting.
You discover those hidden gems that way, not always in the guidebooks.
You do. And requesting recommendations from your server,
Oh, yeah.
it shows that you're open to exploring local flavors.
It does. It shows a willingness to go beyond your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Which can lead to some amazing experiences.
Some really memorable culinary experiences. What are your thoughts on the advanced phrases in this section?
Well, I'm impressed with the level of detail here.
Yeah.
Handling dietary restrictions,
Yeah.
inquiring about wine pairings. You're a foodie expert.
You are.
It's great. And, even if you don't consider yourself a foodie, having a phrase ready for, if your steak's undercooked,
Oh, yeah.
that can be helpful. It's
Yeah.
about being able to communicate your needs clearly, but politely.
Yeah.
Even in a slightly awkward situation.
Yeah. And this sample dialogue is a perfect example of that. Let's imagine you're at a lovely restaurant, but you need to check about vegetarian options.
Okay.
Excuse me, are there any vegetarian options on the menu?
Yes, of course. We have a delightful lentil stew and a roasted vegetable pasta that are both quite popular.
So polite and helpful. Now, with our stomachs full, our confidence boosted, I think it's time we head out and explore the city.
Sounds like an adventure.
Yeah. This section is all about giving you the tools to navigate a new place with confidence. From basic directions to figuring out the best way to get somewhere, we've got you covered.
Great. Yeah, and sometimes those unexpected detours lead to the most interesting discoveries.
That's so true. Speaking of detours, I'm really curious about these intermediate phrases for asking about alternative routes or reporting delays. It's like you're anticipating the unexpected.
Exactly. Because, let's be real, travel rarely goes exactly according to plan.
Right.
Being able to adapt on the fly, that's crucial.
It is. What are your thoughts on the advanced phrases for this section?
Well, these definitely take things to the next level.
Yeah.
Booking private cars, understanding toll systems, even handling car rentals.
You're a transportation pro.
It's all about giving you that flexibility to explore a destination on your own terms.
I like.
Whether you're sticking to public transport or venturing off the beaten path, having these phrases in your toolkit, it can really empower you.
Okay, let's put our transportation vocabulary to the test.
All right.
Imagine we're at a bustling train station. We need to catch our next train.
Okay.
Excuse me, what time does the next train to your destination depart?
The next train departs from platform 5 at 10:15 a.m. Would you like me to show you where that is?
Wow, we're on our way. Now, we've tackled getting around, but there's another essential part of travel we need to talk about.
What's that?
Shopping.
Oh, yes.
Shopping.
It's such a fun way to experience a new place, whether you're browsing local markets for souvenirs or, seeking out those one-of-a-kind treasures.
Absolutely.
And this section has phrases for every kind of shopping experience, from, simple inquiries to those more nuanced interactions.
Even at that beginner level, having those essential phrases down can make a big difference.
Yeah.
Asking about prices, sizes, do they accept credit cards? It helps you navigate those initial exchanges. Yeah. And I think it's important to remember that, even if you don't speak the local language fluently, showing that you're making an effort to communicate respectfully, it can really enhance those interactions.
I agree.
It can. Now, the intermediate phrases, they're all about engaging with the shopping experience more deeply.
Okay.
Expressing interest, asking for assistance, even trying on clothes. It takes things to the next level.
Yeah.
I love how practical these phrases are. Let's be honest, we've all been in that situation where you need to ask, do you have this in a different size? Or can I try this on? Having those phrases ready can be a lifesaver.
It's true. It's about being able to communicate your needs clearly and confidently.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the advanced phrases here?
Well, these are for the true shopping aficionado. Bargaining, inquiring about specific items, even complimenting the craftsmanship.
You're a master negotiator.
And it's about more than just making a purchase.
Yeah.
It's about appreciating the artistry, the cultural significance behind the objects you're buying. Complimenting someone's work can create a special connection.
It's those little moments of human connection that can make a trip so memorable.
For sure.
Now, we've talked about a lot of positive travel scenarios, but it's also important to be prepared for those, just in case moments.
Right.
So let's talk about handling emergencies.
Okay, this is where clear, concise communication is absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
Knowing a few key phrases can make all the difference in getting the help you need, especially in a stressful situation.
Absolutely. At the beginner level, it's about mastering those essential phrases. Calling for help, explaining that you need a doctor, reporting a theft.
Right.
It's about knowing how to get your message across in those critical moments.
And even if you don't know a lot of, medical terminology,
Right.
being able to convey some basic information is so helpful.
It is. The intermediate phrases cover things like describing symptoms, explaining allergies, finding the nearest pharmacy.
It's like having a little mini first aid kit
Yes.
of essential phrases.
Ready to go. What stands out to you in the advanced phrases for this section?
Well, these phrases are about being prepared for, more complex medical situations,
Okay.
describing pre-existing conditions, requesting specific medications, even understanding insurance coverage.
Yeah,
It can really put your mind at ease.
it can. It's about being proactive and informed, which can be so empowering, especially when you're far from home.
Exactly.
So let's imagine a scenario where you need to seek medical attention.
Okay.
You walk up to the desk and you say, "Excuse me, I need to see a doctor. I'm feeling unwell and I think I might have a fever."
Certainly, I can help you with that. Is there a particular type of doctor you need to see?
See, having those phrases ready can make a potentially stressful situation so much more manageable.
Absolutely.
Now, let's shift gears and talk about something a little lighter.
Okay.
Social situations.
Ah, yes. Social interactions, such a vital part of travel.
They are. They allow you to connect with people, learn about different cultures, and create those lasting memories. And this section covers the whole spectrum of social interactions, from basic greetings to those more, in-depth conversations.
At the beginner level, it's all about those foundational phrases. Saying hello, introducing yourself, expressing basic courtesies.
Yeah.
Those are the building blocks of any social interaction.
They are, and I think it's easy to underestimate the power of those simple greetings. Even a warm smile and a hello can go a long way in establishing a connection.
Especially when you're in a new environment.
Yeah.
Those small gestures can make you feel more comfortable and approachable.
They do. Now, the intermediate phrases are about taking those conversations a step further.
Okay.
Asking questions, sharing information about yourself, even expressing opinions.
It's about engaging with the people you meet and learning from their perspectives.
It is. I'm really enjoying these advanced phrases for social situations.
Yeah.
They take things to a whole new level.
They do, don't they? Expressing gratitude, giving compliments, even engaging in a little bit of lighthearted banter. It shows you're really comfortable with the language.
It's about connecting with people on a deeper level and embracing those cultural nuances.
I like that.
Let's try out one of these advanced phrases.
Okay.
Imagine you've just met someone new. You want to keep the conversation going.
Okay.
You say, "Hello, my name is your name. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm visiting from your city. What's your favorite thing about living here?"
It's lovely to meet you too. I love the vibrant energy of this city. There's always something happening, and the people are so welcoming.
Wonderful. You've sparked a conversation that could lead to all sorts of new discoveries.
Exactly.
Okay, we've covered social interactions, but there's another essential aspect of travel we need to address.
What's that?
Transportation.
Ah, yes. Transportation, the lifeline of any trip.
It is. It's how you get from point A to point B, experience the landscapes, and sometimes even have those unexpected adventures along the way.
That's right.
And this section has everything you need to know, from asking for directions to mastering different modes of transport.
For sure. At that beginner level, it's all about those essential interactions.
Yeah.
Asking about bus or train schedules, purchasing tickets, even requesting assistance with your luggage.
Yeah.
These phrases are your foundation for navigating public transport.
It's amazing how much freedom and flexibility you gain when you know how to confidently use public transportation.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on the intermediate phrases in this section?
Well, they're all about being resourceful and adaptable.
Okay.
Asking about alternative routes, clarifying destinations, even reporting delays.
Yeah.
It's about being prepared for those unexpected twists and turns that travel often throws our way.
It's about embracing the unknown and turning those potential challenges into opportunities for adventure.
Yeah, those intermediate phrases are so helpful because even, seasoned travelers,
Yeah,
you can find yourself in those unfamiliar situations.
for sure.
I've definitely had to, double check a route or ask for clarification, know.
Absolutely. It's all about being comfortable asking for help when you need it.
Yeah.
Now, we've covered a lot of ground today. Airports, restaurants, shopping, transportation.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one more crucial aspect of travel we need to discuss.
What's that?
Accommodation.
Accommodation. True. That's your home base, right?
It is.
Your sanctuary while you're exploring a new place.
It is. And having the right vocabulary can really make a difference in how comfortable and enjoyable that stay is.
For sure.
This section breaks it down, starts with those basics at the beginner level.
Okay.
Confirming your reservation, requesting your room key, inquiring about those essential amenities.
Yeah.
These phrases really set you up for a smooth check-in experience.
They do. And, those first impressions at a hotel can really shape your whole perception of your stay.
Oh, they can?
Being able to communicate your needs clearly and politely from the get-go, that can make all the difference.
I completely agree. Now, these intermediate phrases are all about taking things a step further, ensuring your comfort throughout your stay, requesting extra towels, reporting any maintenance issues, even asking for a wake-up call.
Yeah, those are the things that can turn a good stay into a great one.
They are. It's about being proactive and addressing any little hiccups that come up.
Right. And remember, most hotels really want to make sure their guests are happy.
Oh, yeah.
So don't hesitate to speak up if something's not right.
Exactly. Speaking of speaking up, these advanced phrases are all about maximizing that accommodation experience.
Okay, what have we got?
Requesting room upgrades, inquiring about concierge services, even providing feedback on your stay.
You're a hotel expert.
I'm trying. And it's about more than just getting the best room or the most luxurious amenities, right?
Right.
It's about being an engaged and informed guest.
Yeah.
Providing that feedback, both positive and constructive, shows that you value the effort that goes into creating that welcoming, hospitable environment.
I like that.
Let's imagine, okay, you've just arrived at your hotel, you want to get settled in, you're curious about the amenities. You say, "Good evening, I have a reservation under your name, and could you tell me a bit about the hotel's amenities? I'm particularly interested in the fitness center and the spa."
Welcome. We have a state-of-the-art fitness center, open 24 hours a day, and our spa offers a variety of treatments and services. We can certainly arrange a tour for you if you'd like.
Look at you, making yourself right at home. Now, we've talked about, positive side of accommodation. Let's be real. Sometimes things don't go perfectly smoothly.
True.
So let's talk about how to handle those tricky situations when they arise.
Okay, this is where clear and assertive communication is key.
Yeah. At the beginner level, it's about mastering those essential phrases for reporting a problem, requesting assistance, expressing dissatisfaction.
Right.
It's about making your concerns known in a clear and respectful way.
Yeah. And remember, even if you don't know all the technical terms to describe a problem,
Right.
Just being able to explain the situation in simple language can get you a long way.
It can. The intermediate phrases take things a step further, allowing you to describe the problem in more detail, suggest possible solutions, follow up on your request.
Yeah, it's about advocating for yourself.
Yeah.
Making sure your needs are met.
What are your thoughts on the advanced phrases in this section?
Well, these phrases are for those situations where, a more assertive approach might be necessary.
Okay.
Escalating a complaint, requesting to speak to a manager, even understanding your rights as a guest.
Yeah.
These could be really empowering.
It's about knowing your options, being prepared to stand your ground if you need to.
Right.
But remember, even in those challenging situations, maintaining a polite and respectful tone can go such a long way in achieving a positive outcome.
Absolutely.
All right, let's imagine a scenario. You encounter a problem in your room.
Okay.
You go to the front desk, you say, "Excuse me, I'm afraid there's a problem with my room. The air conditioning isn't working, and it's quite uncomfortable."
I apologize for the inconvenience. We'll send someone up right away to take a look. In the meantime, would you like a fan to help cool the room down?
Perfect. You handled that situation with grace and efficiency.
Thank you.
Now, we've covered so much in this deep dive. Airports, hotels, dining, social interactions.
Been the journey.
But there's one more essential ingredient to successful travel that I want to touch on.
What's that?
Cultural awareness.
Cultural awareness. So important.
It is. It's about recognizing and appreciating the diversity of customs, traditions, social norms around the world.
Absolutely.
Approaching every interaction with respect and an open mind.
Yeah.
This section really emphasizes, being mindful, adapting our behavior to the local customs.
Right.
Even at that beginner level, those basic gestures of politeness and respect, like saying please and thank you, can make such a big difference in how you're perceived.
It's true. It's those little acts of courtesy that show you're making an effort to understand and respect the local culture.
The intermediate phrases delve a little bit deeper. navigating social situations, understanding dining etiquette, even being mindful of religious practices.
Right.
It's about being observant, adapting our behavior to those subtle cues.
I agree.
What are your thoughts on the advanced phrases for cultural awareness?
Well, these really highlight the transformative power of, cultural immersion.
Yeah.
Understanding nonverbal communication, appreciating cultural values, even engaging in those meaningful conversations about local traditions.
Yeah.
It's about going beyond the surface and connecting with the heart of a culture.
It's about moving from being a passive observer to an active participant in that cultural landscape.
Like that.
Let's imagine a scenario. You're visiting a temple. You're unsure about the etiquette.
Okay.
You ask, "Excuse me, is it appropriate for me to take photos inside the temple?"
Photography is not permitted inside the temple as a sign of respect for the sacred space.
Yeah.
However, you are welcome to take photos of the exterior architecture.
See, a simple question can help you avoid an unintentional cultural faux pas.
It can?
And it shows a genuine desire to be respectful.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered a lot in this deep dive into English travel vocabulary.
We have.
From navigating those airports and hotels to handling emergencies, immersing ourselves in new cultures, we've equipped you with the phrases, the strategies to confidently handle a whole range of situations.
I hope so.
So as you embark on your next adventure, remember to embrace that power of communication, be respectful of those different cultures, and most importantly, have fun.
Have fun. Safe travels.
Safe travels, everyone, and we'd love to hear from you.
Oh, yeah.
What aspect of travel are you most looking forward to using your newfound English skills for?
Let us know.
Let us know.
Okay, so going from intermediate to advanced English.
Ooh, yeah.
It's a big jump.
It is.
It is a big jump, but it's totally doable.
Absolutely.
And in this deep dive, we are here to help you make that jump.
That's right.
We're going to be your guides, and we're going to be sharing some of the best shortcuts and secrets.
You have all those little kind of cheat codes, those hacks.
Cheat codes, yeah.
To unlock
your English potential.
their full potential, exactly.
Because we've got a treasure trove of tips and tricks.
We do.
To help you with all 4 skill areas.
Yeah.
Reading, writing, listening, and speaking.
It's all covered.
All covered. And the best part is you can start using these right away.
Immediately.
This isn't just theory.
Yeah, this is practical.
This is practical stuff.
Stuff you can use day to day.
No need to dust off the grammar textbooks.
Nope.
None of that. We're diving right into the real world.
The real deal. Real world English.
The real deal.
How to speak and write and listen and read like a native speaker.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's kick things off with reading.
Okay.
So, you've been crushing those Agatha Christie novels.
That's great.
You're doing really well with those, but
It's time to level up.
it's time to level up.
We're going to graduate to the
Big leagues.
Economist.
The Economist, exactly.
BBC News articles, maybe even some academic journals.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there.
Putting, your skills to the test.
Yeah.
Getting you ready for that university application or that job interview.
Okay, so I remember when I first started reading, complex texts, it felt like I was encountering a new language.
Oh, I know that feeling.
It's like every other word I didn't understand.
Right.
And I want to grab the dictionary.
Yes.
And look up everything.
It's so tempting.
It's so tempting, but is that the most effective way to learn?
Well, it can be a bit of a trap.
Okay.
Because, constantly stopping to look up every word,
Yeah.
it really kind of breaks your flow.
Yeah.
It can make reading feel like a chore.
It can, yeah. Instead, I really want you to kind of harness the power of context clues.
Okay.
Think of yourself as a detective,
Ooh.
piecing together a mystery.
Yep.
You don't always need every single detail to understand the big picture.
Right.
So let's say you come across a sentence. Like the scientist's groundbreaking research earned her accolades from the international community.
Okay.
Now, you might not know what accolades means right away, but from the context, can you kind of guess?
Yeah, it sounds like she's earned some kind of recognition or praise.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's getting awards or something.
Yeah, maybe awards, praise, recognition.
Something like that.
Something positive.
Yeah.
Right, so you've used the clues around the word
The context clue.
to figure out the meaning.
Ooh, I like that detective work. It's fun.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
It's like a puzzle.
And it's a little bit less intimidating
Oh, for sure.
than having to look up every single word.
Yeah, and another strategy you can use to get better at this is to actually look for synonyms or antonyms
Okay.
in the sentence or the surrounding sentences.
Okay.
Because often they can kind of give you these hints about the meaning of that unknown word.
So it's almost like a built-in kind of decoder ring.
Exactly, yeah.
For you to figure out the vocabulary.
I like that, yeah.
I like that.
The decoder ring, that's great.
So what about exploring different genres?
Oh, yeah, that's a great point.
Does that help as well?
It does,
okay.
Absolutely, because venturing into different writing styles, like poetry or technical writing, or even legal documents, it can expose you to a wider range of vocabulary and different sentence structures.
Right, so it's like adding different spices to your language palette.
I love that.
Okay, so we've tackled reading.
We have.
But what about writing?
All right, writing.
How do we go from writing, grammatically correct sentences to crafting really sophisticated and stylish prose?
Oh, that's the goal.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's about moving beyond simply conveying information.
Yeah.
It's about expressing yourself.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
With nuance.
With nuance.
And impact, yes.
So instead of saying, I like traveling, you could say, I'm captivated by the allure of exploring diverse cultures and breathtaking landscapes.
Wow, yeah.
Same thought.
Much more evocative.
But way more impactful.
Right.
It's like you're painting a picture.
Exactly.
With your words.
Instead of just stating a fact, you're actually bringing the reader with you on that journey.
But how do you learn to do that?
That's a great question.
I mean, it feels a bit daunting.
It can be.
Yeah.
It can be, but there are, certain things you can focus on.
Okay.
One is to actually really think about your sentence structure. Right. Instead of relying on those simple subject, verb, object sentences.
Yeah.
Experiment.
Okay.
With things like compound and complex sentences.
Yeah.
So instead of saying, I went to the store, I could say, although it was raining heavily, I ventured out to the store because I desperately needed coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Is that kind of what you mean?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're adding detail.
You're adding detail, and you're creating a more kind of interesting narrative just by changing that sentence structure.
Yeah, so it's not just about adding like fancy vocabulary.
No.
It's about structure.
It's
how you're crafting it.
The way you put those words together.
Yeah, okay.
The way you phrase things to create a certain effect.
So it's about being intentional.
Yes.
With your choices.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So we've talked about reading. We've talked about writing.
Yes.
Now let's talk about listening.
Ooh.
Listening, which can be one of the most challenging
it can be.
aspects of language learning.
Especially at the advanced level.
When you encounter different accents, rapid speech, and
idioms, yes.
That make no sense.
That make absolutely no sense when you first hear them.
Yeah, like a linguistic jungle out there.
It is.
Do you have any tips for navigating that?
Well, I think one of the best things you can do is to really immerse yourself in authentic English content.
Okay, so like not just language learning podcasts.
Not just those.
But like branching out.
Listening to podcasts designed for native speakers, even if they're not about topics that you're, super familiar with.
Right. So it's okay if I don't understand every single word.
Exactly.
It's more about
getting that exposure
to
the natural flow and the speed of real English.
Okay. So would you recommend things like, if I'm going to listen to podcasts?
Yes.
What kind of podcasts?
Well, there are so many, but I think a few good ones to start with are, The English We Speak, which is a great one for learning idioms and expressions. Yeah. And then TED Talks Daily, which is just a fantastic way to kind of get exposed to different accents, different topics, different styles of speaking. And then, something like Serial, which is, a really captivating storytelling podcast.
So a variety of different things.
Yeah. And honestly, the best resources are the ones that you find genuinely interesting and engaging.
Right, because
that's what's going to keep you coming back for more.
That's going to keep you coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've heard about a technique called shadowing.
Oh, yes.
It's supposed to be helpful for listening.
It's a fantastic technique.
Okay, so can you explain what that is?
So basically, shadowing is you're listening to a native speaker. And then you're trying to repeat. What they're saying as closely as possible.
So mimicking their pronunciation, intonation, even their rhythm. So it's kind of like vocal exercises.
Exactly.
They're for English.
Yeah, it's like going to the gym for your mouth and for your ears.
I've never tried that before.
You should give it a try.
But it sounds really effective.
It is.
To pronunciation.
Yeah, and you can do it anytime, anywhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do it with podcasts. You can do it with audiobooks.
Yes.
You can even do it with YouTube videos.
Right. So anything you're listening to.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So we've covered reading.
We have.
We've covered writing.
Listening.
Listening, yes.
Now let's talk about
The big one.
the big one.
The one that everybody gets a little bit nervous about.
Yeah.
Speaking.
Speaking.
Yes.
I think a lot of people, myself included, we get nervous
It's understandable.
about speaking in a new language.
It is.
Especially at an advanced level.
Especially when you're trying to reach that fluency,
Yeah.
where you can express yourself with nuance.
With nuance, yeah. And, and effortlessly.
Effortlessly. It can be nerve-wracking.
It can be, but, the key
Yeah.
is just practice and exposure.
Practice and exposure.
Yeah. The more you practice speaking,
Yeah.
the more confident and comfortable you'll become.
Well, that's easy to say.
I know.
But sometimes it's hard to put into practice.
It is.
Especially if you don't have a lot of opportunities to interact with native speakers.
Yeah.
How do you go about doing that?
Well, there's still lots of ways to practice.
Okay.
Even if you don't have regular access to native speakers,
Right.
You can join online language exchange communities. You can find conversation partners through apps or websites, or, even record yourself speaking.
Oh, okay.
And then listen back to it.
So you can hear.
How
you sound.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so what about those moments where
Yeah.
you're having a conversation and you want to use like a sophisticated word
Yes.
or a phrase, but you're not sure if it sounds natural
Oh, I know that feeling.
or forced?
It's all about finding that balance.
Okay.
You don't want to sound like you're trying too hard
Yeah.
or, using a thesaurus
Yeah.
to impress people.
Yeah.
It's about using advanced vocabulary in a way that feels natural and authentic to you.
So it's not about showing off
No.
your vocabulary. It's about using the right words.
It's about using the right words for the right situation.
Right.
And in a way that feels,
To express yourself clearly.
yes, to express yourself clearly and effectively.
Okay.
So I always think about it like, adding spices to your cooking.
Oh, okay.
You don't want to overwhelm the dish with too many flavors. But, a few well-placed spices can really enhance the taste and make it more interesting.
I like that analogy because it's not about cramming
Right.
all these big words.
Exactly.
But it's about, thinking thoughtfully
It's about being strategic.
about how you use advanced vocabulary.
Exactly.
And the more you expose yourself
Yes.
to advanced English,
Yes.
the more it will
It would flow naturally.
it will start to flow naturally, yeah.
It's like building up that foundation.
A foundation, exactly.
And allowing your
your
spoken English to blossom.
the blossom, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
From that.
And, remember, everyone makes mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
Even native speakers. So don't be afraid to just experiment, try out new words, try out new expressions.
Right.
The most important thing is to communicate
Right.
effectively and have fun while you're doing it.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like giving yourself permission
Yes.
to play
To play.
with the language.
Exactly.
I like that.
And to not be afraid
Yeah.
to make mistakes.
Yeah, I think we've
I
covered
think so much.
so much ground already.
I know.
And I'm already feeling more
I would
confident
think-
about my own English skills.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear.
Just from,
Yeah.
hearing your advice.
Well, remember, it's a journey.
It is.
And it's all about taking those small steps.
Yeah.
Celebrating the progress.
Right.
And never giving up.
Never give up.
No.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break
Okay.
and come back to tackle even more
More tips, more strategies.
tips and strategies
Yes.
in part 2
In part 2.
of our deep dive
I'm excited.
into advanced English.
Me too.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Okay, so we're back.
We are back.
And we're ready to dive even deeper
Deeper.
into this world of advanced English.
That's right.
And we've covered so much already.
I know we've covered so much.
From decoding tricky vocabulary
Yeah.
to expressing ourselves with more nuance and style.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not done yet.
No, not at all.
We still got plenty of tips
Oh, he's got a lot more.
and strategies to share,
Absolutely.
especially when it comes to integrating
Yes.
all 4 skill areas:
That's right.
reading, writing, listening, and speaking
Mm-hmm.
to create a truly holistic approach
Holistic. Yeah.
to language learning.
That's the key.
So it's not about mastering each skill in isolation.
Right.
It's about weaving them together.
Yeah, weaving them together.
To create this tapestry.
I love that analogy.
Of fluency.
It's like a beautiful tapestry.
But how do you actually do that in practice?
Okay, so let's say you've just read a fascinating article.
Okay.
About the future of artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Instead of just passively consuming that information.
Right.
Why not challenge yourself
to
summarize the key points in writing?
So you're taking what you've read.
Take what you've read.
And then processing it.
Put it into your own words.
In a new way.
In a new way.
So you're reinforcing your comprehension. But you're also developing your writing skills.
You're synthesizing the information.
Yeah.
And you're expressing it in a new way.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And what about listening?
Okay, listen.
How can we connect that skill to the other ones?
Okay, well, imagine you're listening to a podcast about a controversial topic, like climate change. Afterwards, you could have a discussion with a friend or a family member about the main points that were raised in that podcast.
So you're taking those ideas.
You're taking those ideas
heard
out of your head and then actually
putting them into practice.
Talking about them with another person.
Exactly.
Oh, I like that.
So you're practicing your listening comprehension.
Yeah.
But you're also formulating your own opinions.
And then speaking them.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good way to practice.
It is.
You're listening and you're speaking. Yeah, and it helps you remember the information better, too.
Oh, okay.
When you engage with it on multiple levels,
it
kind of gets embedded.
Yeah. So it's not just about each skill individually.
Right.
It's finding these ways to connect them.
Yeah.
To create, like, a synergistic learning experience.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is inspiring.
Good.
It feels like, we're giving people a blueprint for, like, becoming masters of English.
That's the goal.
But let's be honest, sometimes even with like the best of intentions, it can be tough to stay motivated.
It can.
And consistent with language learning.
Yeah.
So any tips?
Yeah, I think setting specific achievable goals is really important.
So instead of just aiming to improve your English.
Right, because that's very broad.
Yeah, it's broad.
Very vague. Set a concrete target.
Okay.
So you could say, okay, this week I'm going to learn 10 new vocabulary words.
Okay, so specific. Measurable.
Measurable, yeah.
I like that.
Or this month I'm going to write one short essay.
Okay.
Or every day I'm going to listen to 30 minutes of English podcasts.
So it's like it's broken down.
Yeah, you break it
into these bite-sized pieces.
Bite-sized pieces.
That you can actually manage.
Exactly.
That feel achievable.
Yeah.
So you're not overwhelmed.
You don't feel overwhelmed.
By this huge goal.
Yeah, because that can be really daunting.
Yeah.
And it can actually put people off.
Yeah.
So yeah, break it down into smaller chunks.
Make it get manageable.
And then you can see your progress.
Right. So you're actually seeing the result.
Exactly.
And you feel good about it.
Yeah, and that keeps you motivated.
It's encouraging to keep going.
Exactly.
And what about tracking your progress?
Oh, tracking is a fantastic idea.
Okay.
So you can use a simple notebook or a spreadsheet or even language learning apps to keep track of your goals.
Okay.
Your milestones, your achievements.
I like the idea of keeping like a language learning journal.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Like write down interesting words you find, new phrases.
And, you can even reflect on how your journey is going. Yeah. Celebrate your successes.
Celebrate the little wins.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And remember, even small steps are still progress.
It all adds up.
It all adds up in the end.
It's not about being perfect.
No, not at all. It's about
consistency.
It's
about just chipping away at it.
Chipping away at it.
Little by little.
Little by little.
Every day.
Every day.
Even if it's just for 15 minutes.
So you don't need.
No, you don't.
You don't need hours and hours.
You don't need to block out hours and hours.
Okay.
Just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes a day.
And make a big difference. A big difference. Okay.
It's like exercising a muscle.
Okay.
Regular, consistent workouts will get you better results than one big, intense session.
Right. So it's like a marathon.
Exactly. It's a marathon.
Not a sprint.
It's not a sprint. Yeah.
Right.
So, it's about building those habits, making it sustainable.
Yeah.
And remember, you've got so many tools and resources available to help you.
Okay.
Language learning apps, online dictionaries.
Yeah.
Grammar checkers.
Right. There's a lot out there.
There is.
We don't have to do it alone.
No. And the best part is, you've got this amazing community.
Community,
of language learners out there.
Yeah. So many people are learning English.
It's one of the most, spoken languages
Yeah.
in the world.
So we're not alone.
No.
And it makes it more fun.
More fun, more enjoyable.
When you're doing it with others.
Absolutely. And more rewarding.
This is so positive. It's like you're giving us a roadmap.
Yeah.
For success.
A roadmap for success.
Not just with English.
No.
But like in life.
In life, exactly.
About that consistency.
Consistency.
It's about, celebrating the small wins.
Yeah, celebrating.
It's remembering that it's a journey.
It's all about the journey. And, the more you embrace that, the more rewarding it will become.
And English is just this...
It's a gateway.
Gateway to so many other things.
To so many other things.
Yeah, it's about expanding your horizons.
Expanding your horizons.
Connecting with new cultures and new people.
Absolutely.
And unlocking
your potential.
Yeah.
As a global citizen.
It makes me realize it's not just like...
It's not just a set of skills.
A set of skills, yeah.
It's so much more than that.
It's a journey.
It's a journey, yeah.
Of self-discovery.
Of self-discovery.
Yeah, I like that.
It's about growth.
Okay, so we've covered so much.
We have.
In just these 2 parts.
I know, it's amazing.
But we have one more part to go.
One more to go.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
We've got some exciting final thoughts.
Final thoughts, yes.
And a thought-provoking question.
A thought-provoking question.
To leave you with. So stick around.
Stick around.
For the grand finale. All right, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into advanced English fluency. And I have to say, I'm feeling super energized after all the amazing tips and insights we've covered.
I know, me too.
But before we wrap things up, I'm curious.
Okay.
What are some of the biggest kind of breakthroughs or aha moments you've had in your own language learning journey?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think for me, one of the biggest kind of light bulb moments was realizing that language learning, it's not just about memorizing rules and vocabulary. It's about developing this deeper understanding of how language works as a system of communication.
So it's like
cracking a code.
Cracking a code, exactly.
Yeah, like understanding the underlying principles.
The structure, the patterns.
Yeah, and then it makes it easier to
you can kind of
navigate those nuances.
All the little twists and turns of English.
Exactly. You start to see the connections between different parts of the language.
It makes it less intimidating.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
And, another kind of breakthrough for me was actually embracing the idea of making mistakes.
Okay.
As part of the process.
Oh, yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in that fear of making a mistake.
Especially when you're like...
When you're speaking.
You're like...
Yeah.
I don't want to mess this up.
It's just special. Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to mess this up.
But the truth is, mistakes are inevitable.
Yeah, you get to make a...
You are.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Yeah.
They're actually valuable learning opportunities. Oh, that's a good way to look at it. Instead
of seeing them as failures.
Yeah, like beating yourself up.
Exactly.
It's more about
It's like, oh, this is a chance for me to learn.
Yeah.
And grow.
Yeah, I think a lot of language learners, myself included, we tend to be perfectionists.
Yeah, we want to get it right.
We want to get it right every time.
Every single time.
Yeah.
But you know what?
What?
It's okay to let go of that need for perfection.
All right, give myself permission.
Give yourself permission, yeah.
To not be perfect.
To make mistakes.
Yeah.
Because that's how you learn.
Yeah, okay, so embrace the messiness.
Embrace the messiness, yeah.
Of the learning process.
Because that's where the magic happens.
Okay, I like that. And speaking of, not being afraid to experiment.
Yeah.
I think it's so important to find ways to make
it fun.
Language learning fun and engaging.
Fun and engaging, yeah.
So do you have any tips for I think one of my favorite ways is to connect it to your other interests and passions.
Oh.
So, for example, if you're a movie buff, why not watch English language films with subtitles?
Okay.
Or if you love music,
try
listening to English language songs.
Yeah.
And read the lyrics.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's about kind of finding those things that you already enjoy.
Yeah. So you're not...
Yeah, and then you're kind of...
forcing it.
You're sneaking in the language learning.
Sneaking it in. Yeah.
Without it feeling like a chore.
It's more natural.
Exactly. It's more organic.
I like that.
And I think it's also important to, celebrate your progress.
Celebrate those little wins.
Celebrate those little wins.
Yeah.
No matter how small.
Even if it's just like, I learned a new word today.
Yeah, or I understood a whole sentence in a podcast.
And I didn't have to look it up.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a win.
It's a win.
Yeah. And I think it's important to remember that
Yeah.
language learning,
It's a journey.
it's a journey.
It is
Not a destination.
a destination, yeah.
You know, there's always going to be
Right.
more to learn, more to explore.
There's always another level.
There is.
To reach.
And, you know, the beauty of it is the journey itself is so rich
Yeah.
and so filled with discoveries.
Yeah.
So embrace those challenges.
Okay.
Savor the victories
I like that.
and never stop exploring.
Keep going.
Keep going, yeah.
All right. So it feels like we've come full circle
We have
in this deep dive.
full circle from like
From the practical.
the practical to the mindset.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's all about.
And I hope our listener is feeling
Yeah.
empowered and inspired
Inspired and ready
to continue their journey
to keep going.
with English.
But before we say goodbye,
Yes.
I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question.
Oh, I like these.
Okay.
Okay.
So imagine you've reached that
Certainly
advanced level of English fluency.
They're there.
What doors do you see opening?
What opportunities?
Yeah. What opportunities and possibilities
That's a good one.
do you envision for yourself?
Yeah, think about that.
We would love to hear
We would.
your aspirations
Yeah.
and your
And
dreams.
as you continue
Yeah.
on your journey, remember,
Yeah,
we are here to cheer you on
we are.
every step of the way.
So keep practicing, keep exploring,
Yes.
keep believing in your potential.
You've got this.
Until next time,
Until next time.
happy learning.
Happy learning. All right. Get ready to decode some seriously colorful language because today we're diving deep into the world of American English idioms.
Ooh, idioms.
Yeah, you know those quirky sayings that make you scratch your head and think, wait, what?
Like raining cats and dogs.
Exactly.
Or kick the bucket.
See, you're already speaking the language.
I heard a few.
And we're going to uncover a whole treasure trove of them thanks to your fantastic suggestion, Advanced English Conversation Dialogues by Jackie Bolin.
This book is jam-packed with idioms. It's amazing.
My first thought was, how are we going to cover all of this in one deep dive? It's like a crash course in cultural fluency.
Right. But as I started flipping through it, I realized each idiom is like a mini story, a little snapshot of culture and humor all rolled into one.
That's so true. And that's probably why they're so memorable, right? You can picture them, you can feel them. They're not just words on a page.
And they add so much personality to your language.
Yeah.
It's like if you can sprinkle these into your conversations naturally, it shows you're not just speaking English, you're understanding the culture behind it.
It's like you've cracked the code. You're in the club.
Yeah, you're not just a tourist anymore.
Exactly. So we're going to tackle this book theme by theme: money, health, relationships, work, that kind of thing.
Okay, that was good.
So you'll have a whole arsenal of idioms ready to go for any situation. Let's start with something universally relatable: money. You know, everyone's got a money story.
Money talks, right?
Oh, there you go. Another idiom.
Mhm.
But the book starts with cost an arm and a leg and uses the classic example of buying a car. I mean, haven't we all felt that way at some point?
Oh, absolutely. That feeling of like your wallet is cringing.
Like, ouch, that hurts.
But what's interesting is this idiom isn't just about something being expensive. It goes a bit deeper. It suggests a level of like sacrifice involved.
Right.
Like imagine way back when bartering was more common, giving up a limb was like the ultimate price.
Oh, wow. I never thought of it like that.
Now, obviously, no one's actually losing body parts over a car these days.
Mm-hmm.
But the idiom captures that feeling of this is going to hurt my bank account, but I really, really want it.
Okay, so it's not just about the money itself, but the feeling of what you're giving up to get it.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
The emotional cost, yeah.
And the book also mentioned break the bank, again, with that car example.
Mm-hmm.
Are those two interchangeable? Cost an arm and a leg versus break the bank?
Well, they're both talking about big expenses, definitely.
Mm.
But break the bank takes it a step further. It's not just a dent in your savings. It implies complete and utter financial ruin.
Oh, wow.
Like you've wiped out your accounts, maybe even gone into debt. Think of an actual bank vault, like smashed open and empty. That's the level of devastation we're talking about.
Okay, so if cost an arm and a leg is like wincing at a high price tag, break the bank is a full-blown financial meltdown. Got it. Now, the book also brings up living within your means, which seems pretty straightforward, right? Spend less than you earn, that kind of thing.
Yeah, basic budgeting.
But I feel like there's a whole philosophy behind that idiom, isn't there?
Absolutely. It's about being financially responsible, making sure your spending aligns with your income for sure. But it's not just about practicality. It reflects a certain mindset. like a way of approaching money that emphasizes stability and long-term security over those instant gratification purchases.
So if someone is constantly breaking the bank or things are always costing them an arm and a leg, they're probably not the best at living within their means. I guess the opposite of that would be what the book called splashing out.
You got it. Splashing out is all about indulging, treating yourself, maybe even being a little bit reckless with your spending. Like, think of a lavish vacation, a designer handbag. Those are all splashing out moments.
Okay, so we've gone from the pain of big expenses to the joy of treating yourself, all within the realm of money idioms.
There's an idiom for everything.
But everyone gets tired of talking about finances eventually. So let's shift gears to a topic we all experience, health. And the book uses the phrase, feeling under the weather, which honestly I feel like I've used 1,000,000 times when calling in sick to work.
Oh, it's a classic. It perfectly captures that feeling of being a bit off, Not seriously ill, but definitely not at your best.
Like just blah.
Yeah, just blah.
But what's interesting to me is how that idiom uses the weather as a metaphor for health.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's almost like we see illness as this temporary storm we have to weather.
Like that, yeah.
To get through.
To ride it out.
But what if you're actually really sick? Like stuck in bed, can't move, kind of sick. Would under the weather still cut it?
Oh, for that level of misery, we have stronger idioms.
Bring on the strong ones.
Okay, imagine someone completely knocked down by a bug, like they're really suffering. That's when you'd say they're sick as a dog.
Sick as a dog. I love that one.
Yeah.
It's funny because, well, dogs don't usually get sick that often, do they?
Not that we know of.
But I get the point. It's about feeling totally wiped out. Though there's got to be an idiom for when it's even worse than that, right? When it's
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
When someone's health is in serious jeopardy, it's a grave situation.
Oh.
We say they're at death's door.
Oh, yikes.
Not a very cheerful one, I'll admit, but thankfully it's not an idiom we use very often.
Hopefully not. But the book also mentioned worse for wear, which seems to fall somewhere in between under the weather and sick as a dog. Maybe it's like that feeling after a really rough night out.
You're picking up on those nuances. Worse for wear is more general. It means being drained or exhausted, whether it's from illness, stress, even a wild party.
Yeah, like you've been through the ringer a little bit.
Exactly. It implies that you're depleted, but you'll bounce back. It's temporary.
You'll recover.
You'll recover.
Okay, so we've covered the spectrum from feeling a little off to being on the verge of collapse, all with colorful idioms. But health isn't just about illness, right? It's about taking care of ourselves, both physically and mentally. Speaking of which, the book uses this great phrase when talking about stress relief, blowing off some steam.
Blowing off some steam.
Yeah.
So essential.
So important.
But think about it, why steam? Steam is like built up pressure that needs to be released.
Right.
Just like when we kind of bottle up our emotions, it creates that internal pressure. So this idiom is about finding those healthy ways to let it out, whether it's through exercise or creative outlets or even a good vent section with a friend,
Just let it out.
Just let it out.
So it's not about avoiding emotions altogether. It's about channeling them in a way that doesn't make us, explode like an overheated tea kettle.
Exactly. Finding those outlets that help us de-stress and regain our balance is key.
Balance. I like that. And speaking of balance, the book also has this line where a character says, I wish I hadn't been such a couch potato. An apple a day keeps the doctor away, right? It's classic advice.
Yeah.
But is there any truth to it? I mean, is a single apple really a magical cure-all?
Well, I don't think a single apple has those kind of superpowers. But what's fascinating about this idiom, despite being about a literal fruit, it captures a much broader concept.
What's that?
Preventative health.
Yeah.
It's about making those healthy choices a regular part of your routine so you're less likely to need those major medical interventions later on.
It's like the idiom itself is this little nudge towards taking care of ourselves.
A little reminder. And if you're doing all the right things, maybe you could even say you're as fit as a fiddle.
As fit as a fiddle. I like that one.
Who doesn't want to be compared to a perfectly tuned instrument?
I know, right? Sounds good to me. So from under the weather to as fit as a fiddle, we've covered a lot of ground in the health department.
Yeah, we have.
But there's another area of life where idioms really shine, and that is relationships. And I'm not talking about just the lovey-dovey kind. I'm talking about the full spectrum of human connection, from friendships to family dynamics, even those tricky workplace relationships.
Yeah, the juicy ones.
Oh, yeah. The book had one that really jumped out at me. It's giving someone the cold shoulder.
Ooh, a cold shoulder.
Yeah. And they used it to describe a strained parent-child relationship, which can definitely get icy sometimes, right?
Oh, absolutely. Family drama is the best drama.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst. But it's a powerful image. Giving the cold shoulder. You can practically feel the chill in the air.
Yeah, like you're being ignored.
Yeah, like, don't talk to me.
Exactly. But giving the cold shoulder is more than just physical distance. It's about that deliberate withdrawal of affection and communication. It's a way of saying, I'm upset and I'm not ready to engage with you right now.
Okay, so it's not just about being busy or needing some space. It's a deliberate act of showing displeasure. But is that the same as what the book calls letting the dust settle? That seems more about just taking a time out.
You're right, there is a difference. Letting the dust settle is more about creating a temporary pause, allowing emotions to cool down before you address the situation directly. Imagine like a room filled with swirling dust after a fight. You can't see clearly until things settle, right?
Right, yeah.
It's about taking that step back to gain perspective before you jump back into the fray.
So giving the cold shoulder is intentional, it's a bit of a power move, while letting the dust settle is more about strategic disengagement. That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. It's all about understanding the subtle messages behind these idioms and using them appropriately. Now, let's talk about those really strong positive relationships.
Okay.
The book has this adorable idiom, 2 peas in a pod, to describe those close friendships. I mean, it just makes me picture like 2 little peas snuggled up together, completely inseparable.
It's such a cute image. It perfectly captures that feeling of being so in sync with someone, sharing the same interests, values, even quirks, like you're 2 halves of a whole.
And that kind of connection can be so valuable.
Yeah.
But let's be real, even the best of friendships aren't always sunshine and rainbows.
That's true.
Remember that workplace drama in the book where someone gets stabbed in the back?
Ooh, yeah.
That takes us to a much darker side of relationships.
Ugh, stabbed in the back. It's such a visceral idiom. It goes way beyond a simple disagreement or misunderstanding. It's about a deliberate betrayal of trust, a wound that cuts deep and can be hard to heal.
Exactly. It evokes a sense of shock, pain, and vulnerability. It highlights how actions can have a much deeper impact than words, especially when trust is broken.
So we've gone from the warmth of being 2 peas in a pod to the sting of betrayal. Relationships are a roller coaster, aren't they?
They really are.
But speaking of journeys, let's move on to our final theme for this part of our deep dive work. The book starts off this section with a classic hit the books, which, let's be honest, every student has heard at some point.
Oh, it's a rite of passage.
It's like a universal experience.
It is.
But it's more than just studying, right?
Yeah.
It implies a certain level of dedication and intensity.
It's like, imagine physically striking those books to force the knowledge into your brain.
Oh, I get it.
That's the level of effort we're talking about.
It's funny because the book actually advises against cramming and pulling all-nighters, which seem pretty similar to hitting the books at first glance. What's the difference?
It's all about the approach and the mindset. Hitting the books suggests a consistent, structured study routine, whereas cramming and pulling all-nighters, that's like last-minute desperation.
Okay.
Trying to cram information into your brain in a panic. The idiom itself, hit the books, reflects a more effective and sustainable way of learning.
So it's not just about the hours you put in, it's about how you use those hours. Smart. Now, the book also has this great section on study tips, which seems like a perfect segue into our next idiom, working your fingers to the bone.
That one evokes a sense of pure hard work.
Yeah.
It paints this picture of someone toiling tirelessly, pushing themselves to their limits to achieve a goal. But what's interesting is it applies to both physical and mental labor. Think of a writer spending hours hunched over a manuscript, or a programmer working late into the night to meet a deadline.
Yeah.
Those are both examples of working your fingers to the bone.
It's like the idiom itself is a testament to dedication and perseverance, even if it hints at a bit of exhaustion, too.
It does, yeah.
But not all work is about burning the midnight oil. Sometimes we stress ourselves out unnecessarily, making mountains out of molehills, as the book puts it.
That's a classic.
That's such a good one. It's all about perspective, right? We blow things out of proportion, turning minor setbacks into these major catastrophes. It's like that feeling when you spill a drop of coffee on your shirt and suddenly feel like the entire day is ruined.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah, but the idiom reminds us to zoom out, see the bigger picture, and not let those little things derail us.
Exactly. It's a gentle reminder to, chill out. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Exactly. So from the intensity of hitting the books and working your fingers to the bone to the importance of keeping things in perspective, we've covered quite a bit in the work realm. But we've also touched on money, health, and relationships. What's the big takeaway here? What have we learned from all these idioms?
What's fascinating about these idioms and what we've seen today is that they're not just about vocabulary, they're windows into culture and thought.
That's a great point.
By incorporating these colorful expressions, you'll not only sound more natural in your communication, but you'll also deepen your understanding of how native speakers think and express themselves.
So keep exploring.
Keep playing with language.
Keep having fun with it.
Most importantly, have fun with it.
We'll be back soon with part 2 of this deep dive, where we'll uncover even more fascinating American English idioms from advanced English conversation dialogues.
There are so many more.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the wonderful world of American English idioms. Last time we were talking about money, health, relationships, even some work idioms.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground.
A lot of ground. But there are so many more to explore. So where are we headed next on this idiom adventure?
Well, let's stick with that work theme for a little bit longer, but this time, let's focus on success.
Okay.
And there's one idiom that really captures that idea of like being clever, quick-witted.
Oh, I like those kinds of people.
Yeah, right. Resourceful.
Resourceful.
It pops up in the book when they're describing a character who's always one step ahead.
Okay, give me a hint.
It involves a baked good.
A baked good smart cookie.
Yeah, smart cookie.
Smart cookie. I love that one. It's like you can practically picture someone snapping their fingers and coming up with a brilliant solution, you know?
Yeah, they're sharp.
They're sharp.
Savvy.
Savvy. But is it just about, like, book smarts, or is there more to it?
It definitely goes beyond just having a high IQ, I think. Think about it. Cookies are small, but packed with flavor, right?
Right.
So a smart cookie is someone who's resourceful, adaptable. They can handle any situation with, like, a mix of intelligence and street smarts.
So they're not just, like, good at taking tests.
No, they can handle real-life stuff.
They're out there in the world.
They're the ones who always seem to have a plan, even when things get a bit chaotic.
They're, like, the problem solvers.
Yeah, the problem solvers.
Okay, so smart cookie, someone who's sharp, savvy, has that certain something that helps them navigate tricky situations. But sometimes even the smartest cookies need a little help along the way.
Oh, absolutely. We all need support.
And that brings us to another idiom that I found really heartwarming. It's a shoulder to cry on.
Oh, a shoulder to cry on.
Yeah, the book uses it to describe that friend who's always there for you no matter what.
It's that deep sense of support. Empathy. You know, you have someone you can turn to when things get rough, someone who will listen without judgment and offer comfort when you need it most. It's like a safe haven, a reminder that you're not alone in your struggles.
Yeah, it's like a human security blanket.
Yeah, I like that.
It's so nice.
It is nice.
But it's not just about offering comfort, though, right? It's about being present, going through those ups and downs together. And speaking of which, the book uses a great idiom to describe that kind of long-lasting bond through thick and thin.
Oh, through thick and thin. A classic.
A classic. What does that one mean to you?
It's about resilience.
Yeah.
You're sticking by someone's side no matter what life throws your way, good times and bad. It's that unshakable loyalty that weathers storms and emerges, like even stronger on the other side. It's the kind of friendship that can withstand disagreements, distance, even major life changes.
It's not just about, like, having fun together, you know?
No.
It's about being there for each other through the good times and the bad times.
Exactly.
That's real friendship right there. But let's be real, not all relationships are that deep and meaningful.
True.
Sometimes we connect with people based on shared interests or goals. And the book captures that perfectly with the idiom, birds of a feather flock together.
Yes. It's like we're drawn to those who are like us, who share our values, passions, maybe even our quirks. It's like, those flocks of birds that move in perfect unison. There's a sense of unity and belonging that comes with finding your tribe.
It's like that feeling when you meet someone new and you instantly click, Yeah. You just get each other.
Yeah, you're on the same wavelength.
There's no need to explain yourself.
You just vibe.
You just vibe. But even with those natural connections, sometimes things don't go as planned.
Oh, that's life.
And remember that character in the book who made a hasty decision and ended up really regretting it? They definitely jumped the gun on that one.
Oh, jumping the gun, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's all about acting impulsively without thinking things through. It's like that athlete who takes off before the starting pistol.
Oh, yeah.
They might have a head start, but they've also broken the rules and to face consequences.
So it's like about that fine line between being spontaneous and being reckless.
You got to think before you act.
Sometimes a little patience goes a long way. But speaking of taking action, we've all experienced those moments of like anticipation and nervousness before a big event, right?
Pre-game jitters.
The pre-game jitters, exactly. The book calls it having butterflies in your stomach.
Ooh, those butterflies.
A butterfly.
Yeah, they can be both exciting and nerve-wracking.
I always get them before a big presentation or a job interview. It's like, my stomach is trying to fly away.
It's that fluttery sensation that signals that we're stepping outside our comfort zone, taking a risk, maybe even facing a fear.
Yeah. It's that, like, feeling of the unknown.
Yeah. Like, what's going to happen?
But the book also mentioned a phrase that seems to contradict that feeling of nervousness. A piece of cake.
Yeah.
Usually that means something's easy, right?
Yeah, super easy breezy.
Breezy.
That's us.
But what's interesting is how the book uses it. It's not about the task itself being easy. It's about having the confidence to tackle it.
It's a mindset.
It's that mindset. It's like a way of reframing a challenge and saying, I got this, no problem.
Yeah, I'm not even sweating it.
Not even sweating it.
Piece of cake.
Piece of cake. So it's like a mental trick to boost your confidence and approach a situation with a positive mindset. But sometimes, even with the best attitude, we need a little extra help from the universe.
Oh, yeah. A little luck never hurts.
A little luck. And that's where fingers crossed comes in, right?
Fingers crossed, absolutely. It's that universal gesture of hoping for the best, wishing for good luck, especially when we have limited control over the outcome.
Right.
It's like we're sending a little prayer to the universe saying, please let this work out in my favor.
It's like a little superstitious boost, you know,
A little extra mojo.
to tip the scales in our direction. And speaking of quirky traditions, there's another one that always throws me off. Break a leg. I mean, who wishes someone an injury, especially right before a big performance?
Right. Seems counterintuitive.
It does.
But break a leg is a classic theatrical idiom. It's like a way of wishing someone good luck on stage. And there are a few theories about its origin. Some say it's like a reverse psychology thing. By wishing for the opposite of what you want, you're somehow warding off bad luck.
Interesting.
Another theory links it to like the idea of bowing so deeply that you might actually break a leg, like as a sign of a successful performance.
So it's either a superstitious charm or a testament to like the dedication of performers.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a unique way of showing support. But sometimes words speak louder than any quirky idiom. The book has this beautiful line where a character simply says, I'm here for you. It's so simple, yet so powerful.
It is. It goes beyond just mere words. It's a declaration of unwavering support. It's a promise to stand by someone's side through those challenges, through thick and thin. It conveys empathy, understanding, and a willingness to offer practical help, or just a listening ear.
It's about showing up for someone, letting them know they're not alone in whatever they're going through.
Yeah, exactly. We've all been there. We all need that sometimes.
But sometimes even with support, life throws us curveballs.
Life is unpredictable.
And we need a fresh start.
A reset.
A reset. The book uses a familiar idiom in a new way to describe this, a clean bill of health. We usually associate that with like physical well-being.
Yeah. Go to the doctor, getting a checkup.
Yeah. But the book uses it metaphorically.
Interesting.
To describe like a fresh start after a difficult period. It's like wiping the slate clean, getting a second chance, emerging from a challenge with renewed energy and a clear perspective.
It's like a mental and emotional clean bill of health.
Exactly. So it's not just about being free from illness, it's about feeling mentally and emotionally refreshed, ready to tackle whatever comes next.
Love that.
But getting to that point often involves a process of recovery and rebuilding.
Mm-hmm.
That's where back on my feet comes in.
Oh, yeah, back on my feet.
Mm-hmm.
That's about regaining stability and independence after a setback.
Okay.
It suggests resilience, that ability to bounce back from adversity and move forward with renewed purpose. It could be recovering from an illness, a job loss, a heartbreak, anything that knocks you down temporarily.
Yeah, like you're getting your footing again.
Yeah, you're finding your balance.
It's finding your balance.
You're not knocked out, you're getting back up.
And sometimes that forward momentum requires teamwork and collaboration.
Oh, for sure.
That's where the classic idiom, 2 heads are better than 1, comes into play.
Ah, yes. 2 heads are better than 1. A testament to the power of collaboration.
I love it. What does it mean to you?
It's about recognizing that Like, we don't have all the answers. And seeking input and diverse perspectives can lead to more creative and effective solutions. It's about leveraging each other's strengths to achieve a common goal.
It's like that brainstorming session where, one idea sparks another, and suddenly you have a solution that's better than anything you could have come up with alone.
Synergy.
Synergy, exactly. But sometimes, even with a great team, the going gets tough and we need a little encouragement to keep pushing forward. The book uses a simple yet effective phrase for this, and it is, keep your chin up.
Oh, I love that one. Keep your chin up. It's like a pep talk in 3 words.
It is.
It's a reminder to stay strong, maintain a positive attitude, and don't let those setbacks define you. It's about focusing on what you can control, finding that silver lining, and believing in your ability to overcome challenges.
It's like that little voice inside your head saying, you got this, don't give up.
Exactly.
But sometimes, even with the best intentions, we reach a point where we need to step back and reassess. The book uses call it a day, which we usually associate with ending the workday.
Right, clocking out.
Clocking out. But they use it in a broader sense.
Interesting. How so?
Well, it can also apply to any situation where we need to recognize our limits, prioritize our well-being, and say enough is enough for now.
Okay, yeah. It's about knowing when to step away, recharge, and come back with renewed energy and focus.
So it's not about quitting.
No.
It's about strategic pausing, taking a break to prevent burnout and come back stronger. And sometimes that break involves spending time with friends. And when it comes to group outings, there's one idiom that always comes up, go Dutch.
Go Dutch. Oh, yeah. All about fairness and equality.
I like it.
Everyone chips in equally for a meal or activity, ensuring no one feels burdened or obligated.
That's good.
Takes the pressure off, creates a more relaxed and enjoyable social experience.
It's like that silent agreement to split the bill evenly, avoiding any awkwardness or resentment. But sometimes we want to do more than just split the bill, right? We want to express generosity and treat our friends. And that's where my treat comes in.
Oh, yeah, my treat. It's a gesture of warmth and hospitality. It's a way of saying, I appreciate you and I want to show you my gratitude.
Oh, that's nice.
It's about strengthening bonds, creating a sense of warmth and camaraderie.
Yeah.
Those little acts of kindness that just brighten someone's day and make them feel special.
I love that. But before we get too carried away with those feel-good vibes, there's one last idiom I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
The book uses it to describe those moments when we have to admit defeat.
Oh, okay.
Throw in the towel.
Throw in the towel. It signifies surrender. Yeah. You're acknowledging that the battle is lost and it's time to move on. It's a difficult decision, often requiring humility and self-awareness, but sometimes it's the wisest choice. Yeah. It allows us to conserve our energy and focus on more promising opportunities.
So we've gone from smart cookies to throwing in the towel.
Quite the range.
From shoulders to cry on to calling it a day. We've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive. What overarching themes are you noticing as we explore these idioms?
What's striking me is how these idioms, while seemingly simple and colloquial, they offer these really profound insights into human nature, relationships, and even the pursuit of success.
It's true.
They highlight the importance of resilience, support systems, balance, and recognizing both our strengths and our limitations. And by understanding these nuances, we can communicate more effectively, navigate challenges with greater ease, and even cultivate more meaningful connections.
So it's about more than just memorizing vocabulary. It's about tapping into that cultural wisdom embedded in these expressions.
Absolutely.
And using them to navigate the complexities of life. We'll be back soon with part 3 of our deep dive, where we'll uncover even more fascinating American English idioms from advanced English conversation dialogues.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back for round 3 of our idiom exploration. Thanks to you and your fantastic suggestion of advanced English conversation dialogues, we've been on quite the journey through the twists and turns of American English idioms.
We have so many good ones.
I know, from those big expenses that cost an arm and a leg to finding a shoulder to cry on when things get rough.
And everything in between.
But there are still so many more idioms to uncover. So where are we headed in this final installment of our deep dive?
Well, let's step into a realm where things aren't always as they seem. A world of secrets, surprises, and maybe even a little bit of mischief.
Ooh, sounds intriguing.
Because today, we're talking about idioms that add a touch of drama and intrigue to our conversations.
Okay, I'm ready for the drama.
Are you ready to spill the tea?
Oh, is that an idiom?
Maybe. But speaking of spilling, the book uses this really funny idiom to describe a secret being revealed. Let the cat out of the bag.
Let the cat out of the bag. I love that one.
It's so visual, right?
Yeah.
You can practically picture that mischievous cat escaping and creating chaos.
Total chaos.
But letting the cat out of the bag isn't always accidental.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it's a deliberate act of sharing confidential information, like, to get ahead or to stir up trouble.
Ooh, juicy gossip.
The book even has a scene where someone reveals their plans to leave their job before everything's finalized.
Oh, so they were like talking about it behind people's backs?
A little bit, yeah.
Not cool. But sometimes those whispers can turn into full-blown conflicts if we don't, what's that phrase, nip things in the bud early on?
Yes, nip it in the bud.
That's a good one.
It's all about taking preventative action, addressing a problem before it escalates.
Okay.
Think of a gardener pruning a plant to prevent it from growing out of control.
Right.
It's about taking that decisive action early on to avoid bigger headaches down the road.
It's like that saying, a stitch in time saves 9. But sometimes, even with the best intentions, things don't always go as planned, and we find ourselves in situations that are just, like, plain confusing. The book uses a very fitting idiom for this clear as mud.
Clear as mud. It's brilliant, isn't it? It's that perfect blend of sarcasm and frustration when something is just utterly incomprehensible.
It's like, what are you even talking about?
Exactly. Imagine trying to see through a thick layer of mud. It's murky, distorted, impossible to make sense of.
It's like those times when you get instructions that are so convoluted, you end up more confused than when you started.
Absolutely. Speaking of confusing situations, there's another idiom that highlights those moments when people just can't seem to agree. See eye to eye.
Oh, yeah, see eye to eye. That's a big one.
Yeah. It's about finding common ground, reaching that shared understanding.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Like that moment when two people look at the same picture and see the same thing. There's a sense of harmony and alignment.
It's like that aha moment. You realize you're both on the same wavelength. But let's be real, disagreements are part of life.
Yeah, conflict happens.
And sometimes those disagreements can get pretty heated. The book uses a rather explosive idiom to describe this. Blow a gasket.
Blow a gasket. Ooh, that's a good one. It's all about expressing extreme anger or frustration. It's like that old car engine that overheats and suddenly bursts a gasket.
Right.
There's a sense of pressure building up until it reaches that breaking point.
It's like that feeling when you're so angry you feel like you might actually explode.
Exactly. But thankfully, there are healthier ways to blow off some steam.
Right, and we talked about that in part 1 of this deep dive.
Finding those constructive outlets for our emotions, whether it's exercise, creative expression, even just talking things out.
Yeah, just letting it out.
Let it out. It can help us regain our composure and approach situations with a clearer head.
So it's about finding those pressure valves.
Yeah.
That allow us to release those intense emotions in a safe and healthy way. But sometimes, even after all that effort, we reach a point where we have to admit defeat. The book uses a very powerful idiom for this. Throw in the towel.
Oh, throw in the towel. It signifies surrender. You're acknowledging that the battle is lost and it's time to move on.
That's a tough one.
It is tough. It's not an easy decision, but sometimes it's the wisest choice. It allows us to conserve our energy and focus on, more promising opportunities.
It's about picking your battles.
Yeah, exactly. Choosing where you're going to put your energy.
But on the flip side, there are also times when perseverance is key. When we need to dig deep and, what's that phrase, hang in there, despite the challenges.
Hang in there. It's a powerful expression of encouragement. It's about holding on tight, not giving up hope, and believing that things will eventually get better.
It's like that inner strength that helps us weather storms and emerge stronger on the other side.
Yeah, it's that little voice inside your head saying, you got this, just keep going.
And sometimes the best thing to do is to simply call it a day and take a break. And I love how the book uses this idiom, not just for ending the workday, but for any situation where we need to just pause and recharge.
Yeah, call it a day. It can apply to anything from ending a project to stepping away from a stressful situation.
Right.
It's about recognizing our limits, prioritizing our well-being, giving ourselves permission to rest, and come back with renewed energy.
So it's not about giving up, it's about strategic pausing.
Yeah, exactly.
Taking a break to prevent burnout and maintain a healthy balance.
Self-care.
Self-care is so important.
It is. And sometimes, we need a little bit of luck on our side.
We do. The book uses a simple yet effective phrase for this. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. It's that universal gesture of hoping for the best. You're wishing for a favorable outcome, especially when we have limited control over the situation. It's like we're sending a little prayer to the universe saying, please let this work out.
It's a little superstitious, maybe, but there's something comforting about that gesture. Like we're actively putting that positive energy out into the world.
Manifesting.
Manifesting it. And speaking of positivity, there's one last idiom that I wanted to touch on. Speak of the devil. It's such a funny one, and it always seems to happen at the most unexpected times.
Right. Speak of the devil.
Yeah.
It's all about those surprising coincidences. You know, when the person you were just talking about suddenly appears.
It's like the universe is eavesdropping on us.
It really is. Like it has a sense of humor and is orchestrating these perfectly timed entrances.
It's always a little startling, but there's something delightful about it too, like a reminder that life is full of unexpected twists and turns.
It keeps us on our toes.
It keeps us on our toes. Well, we've certainly covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into American English idioms, from secrets and surprises to disagreements and frustrations, from giving up to hanging in there. We've explored a wide range of human experiences and emotions through the lens of these really colorful expressions. Any final thoughts for our listeners before we wrap up this linguistic adventure?
You know, I think what's important to remember is that idioms aren't just about memorizing words. It's about understanding the culture, the thought processes behind them. By embracing these sometimes quirky sayings, you're not just expanding your vocabulary, you're gaining a deeper appreciation for the nuances of the English language and the people who speak it.
It's about connecting with the heart and soul of a language.
Exactly. It's more than just fluency. It's about understanding the culture, the humor, and the history behind these expressions.
And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into American English idioms. A huge thank you to you, our listener, for suggesting this fascinating topic.
It was a great choice.
And remember, keep those ears open. You'll start hearing these idioms everywhere. Happy learning.